Alright, so hello everyone and welcome to another custom wooden railway showcase video. I am going to be showing off 3 different custom models that I have made just recently, and you can't see her right now, but my cat is in the room with me. I do have her behind the camera. In fact, I'm actually petting her head right now. But anyway, hopefully I can distract her long enough for me to get through this. So anyway, here is a custom Thomas Wooden Railway character, and I'm pretty sure that lots of you are going to immediately assume that this is Mallard. And you're half right about that. Yes, indeed, it is Mallard, but it is not just Mallard. This is AJ the Mallard. If you don't know who that is, he was a character that appeared in Felix Cheng's New Engine Slideshow series. He's also made merchandise video appearances. I did a remake to the merchandise video he did a long time ago, using both the images that he used as well as some new images that I have done. And now I've managed to make a physical wooden railway model of him, which was not done through the use of MS Paint or anything, but with spray paints and printing and tape. That's what was used here. Okay, so I don't really have any backstory in regards to who AJ the Mallard is. I've never thought of any sort of backstory that he could have. Not sure if Felix Cheng has ever done so either. Probably just another character to appear in the New Engine Slideshow series, as well as also in the Kuno Tank Engine series. And, you know, there had been a lot of characters that were Mallards in the New Engine Slideshow series. Of course, Mallard, the engine who's called Mallard, the real one, does make an appearance in the Railway series, but he's never appeared in the TV series. Now, somebody, I do apologize that my hand continuously gets in the way, but I just want to be able to move the turntable around here. This is a new layout that I have just recently set up, and this is basically what I am portraying as the Sodor Steamworks. But anyway, as I was saying, somebody, I'm not going to say who, had said there was only one engine that was called Mallard, and I do not know if that guy was just messing with me or just trying to get on my nerve or anything, but you know, I'm not entirely sure if he's actually right about that. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I'm not entirely sure, but what I do know is that there is more than one type of engine that is, well, the same shape as Mallard. Like, I think there is Sir Nigel Reesley, and I know there are some others, but can't think of their names at the moment. You know, Spencer, of course, is the same type of engine as Mallard. I believe that the type of engine is called an A4. I'm not sure about that, but I think that I remember typing in Google about A4 engines, and the type of engine that Spencer as well as Mallard are based upon was what showed up. Alright, so as you can probably guess, this is a Wooden Railway Spencer model. If you have seen my video that I made on the my custom wooden railway trains and talking about their former lives, such as, you know, some sort of scenario as to what if these trains were alive like in Toy Story and what they would be saying about the customs I've made out of them, you know, and you probably had seen that I was working on another custom model that used my old wooden railway Spencer, and this is what the model became. I think someone guessed that I was making axle, and that actually is not a bad idea, but I'm not sure if I will do that at any point. I would need to get another Spencer in order to do that, but that is a good opportunity for making axle. So what I did was I spray painted the wheels in red, and then I spray painted the entire body in a blue color. And something that was very difficult was getting the tape that I put over the wheels to make sure that they were not spray painted blue. The difficult part was getting the tape off without making any paint chips. I did make a couple paint chips when taking the tape covering the wheels off, but I was able to paint over those chips using a paintbrush, like just taking my spray paint, spraying the brush, and then using the brush to paint over any chips that had happened when I was taking the tape off. And the same also goes for the blue paint. Like, there was a little bit of paint chips that happened a little around the front, which I also managed to use a paintbrush to cover, as well as on the coal tender. That is another thing that I needed to do with using a paintbrush. And the stripes on this train, they are paper that I printed, and the name board, and you know, the LNER on the side, that's all paper that I printed. And getting the red circles on the cab was another thing that was very difficult to do. Just cutting out these little squares with the holes in them. Had to do one of them twice because I, you know, accidentally ripped them off when trying to open them up. Yeah, so that there is AJ the Mallard. He is the third character from Felix Cheng that I've done a custom of. The first two being Mushi and Thule, which I'm not sure if I've done a video showing off Thule. I'm not quite sure if I've even got to that model perfect, but, you know, I did make such a model, and I may show it off at some point if I haven't already. But for this video, I'm showing off 3 custom characters that I have recently made. So now let's go on to the next one. Next up, we are taking a look at a custom character that, it's a custom model, but it is based on an official character. This custom review video, custom model, custom wooden railway train video shows off, 2 official characters and 1 custom character. And in this case, I am now looking at one of the official characters. And if you're not sure as to who this engine is, this here is Stanley the Mid-Sodor Engine. Not the silver tank engine that appeared in the TV series, but this is Stanley, who was an engine who worked on the Mid-Sodor Railway along with Duke, Sir Handel, and Peter Sam. And the story here is that he was very rough with shunting trucks, and very often just came off the rails, which resulted in him being made into a pump tank. And I know that a lot of people who have seen the TV series may be thinking, wait a minute, isn't that Smudger? And you're right. That is the exact same story. Smudger was an engine in the TV series that was very rough and often came off of the tracks, and he was turned into a generator. So Smudger was the character that we saw in the TV series, but in the Railway series, this is the character that takes that place. I'm guessing the whole reason why they decided to make a brand new character fill Stanley's role in the TV series was probably because if they made a model based upon Stanley from the Railway series, that would be kind of a waste, considering that they would only use him for just a few scenes, and it probably would not be worth it to create such a model like that if you're not going to be using it anymore. So what they did instead was just take a model that they already had, this being Rheneas, and they just painted him to be Smudger, and then as soon as they were done filming the episode, they just changed him back into Rheneas. That, or the model actually started out as Smudger and then was made into Rheneas later on. I'm not entirely sure. I would think that it was Smudger from the start, but I've read online that it may have been Rheneas first, and they just, you know, just put some temporary paint onto the model to make it a different character. Not entirely sure what the case is. But either way, it is the same model as Rheneas, and I'm pretty sure that that was done for cost savings. So that is my personal theory as to why they replaced Stanley with Smudger for cost savings. So you might be wondering as to what model I used for making this version of Stanley. Right now I did not add a name board on his side, even though some people have added a name board onto Smudger, whether it's a custom model or just a picture on the, well, on the internet, or maybe just a hand-drawn picture. But in this case, I have not added the name board on to Stanley right here because, well, he has not made very many illustrations in the Railway series. There have been like only 2 images of him, which would include one in the story where he was turned into the pump tank, and another where he was shown as an engine before being turned into that pump tank. And neither of those illustrations showed a number on the side. The model itself right here, I used an old wooden railway duck model, just spray painted it in red, as well as also taken off the back, which would show the widow's peak, so it would be completely flat on the back. And the funnel, the front of the boiler, is made using model magic, which is a type of air drying clay, which I have used used ever since I was a kid, and I used to make quite a lot of figures with that stuff, and I have been getting, stupid camera, have been getting some of it today for mostly customs, as well as a few other things, but have been using it for making custom wooden railway models. And the face is a spray painted wooden railway Duncan face. I just spray painted it in a light gray color. If you're wondering, why didn't you just use the face as it was, since it was already gray to begin with? Well, I will tell you, the face from my old wooden railway Duncan, I first tried using that wooden railway Duncan to create a Dolgok model, but I accidentally got some paint onto the face where it wasn't supposed to go, and I was not able to get it off. And I ended up using that Duncan model to create my custom Jock instead, since Dolgok was the basis for Rheneas and not Duncan, but I used Duncan because they looked pretty close, but I decided to go with my old wooden railway Rheneas because he was a bit more accurate to Dolgok. And, you know, that Duncan model became Jock, and the face was taken off, and eventually used for Stanley. And I also wanted to make it look much better rather than just using a face that's just outdated, shall we say. So just spray painted it to make it look somewhat better. So that right there is my custom wooden railway Mid-Sodor Railway Stanley. Now on to the next character. And finally, here we have the last character that I am showing off for this custom wooden railway review video. This here is Dexter, an old passenger coach who was converted into a school classroom. Now, you may recognize this character from the episode School of Duck, and I was planning on maybe doing a custom, or rather a wooden railway remake to that episode. I may still do it, but, you know, I did say in my, my haul video that I posted a couple days ago that I was thinking of maybe just putting the face, which I'll talk about where the face came from in a minute, onto, you know, temporarily put it on one of my custom red coaches, which now I have another one of them, since if you saw my haul video, you would see that I got 2 unpainted wooden railway coaches, and the one of them became Dexter, as you can see right here, and the other one I made into another wooden railway red coach. I may show that off in a moment, but it doesn't really reflect this video right here. It just shows off another custom of something that I've already made, but having multiples of that thing will actually fit in the storyline, since there are multiple red coaches on Sodor. And Dexter also happened to have once been a red coach. And, you know, it's not all that often where we have coaches besides Annie and Clarabelle and Henrietta that have faces. Although the narrow gauge coaches had faces in the 4th season, but we haven't seen them with faces since then. At least as far as I can remember, anyway. I'm taking these bits off right here to give you a bit of a better look at this model. And Dexter is basically the most recent coach to have a face. Now, the story about Dexter is that he was a coach that was shunted in a siding when his axles broke. Do coaches even have axles? I thought only engines did. But anyway, Dexter was shunted there when his wheels were broke. And, you know, Duck found him there and attempted to try to pull him, but Dexter's wheels were just not working. And Duck ended up just leaving him behind. But then Duck came back with Judy and Jerome to get Dexter out, because he had a plan for Dexter, and that was to make him into a school classroom. Now, the custom model that I've made right here is mobile, but in the actual episode, Dexter just had his wheels taken off. He was just set down in a place, and he just stood in place. He was not mobile, although it would be interesting if he was mobile. You know, just take the classroom all over the place. So this probably could be like a what-if scenario where they did decide to give Dexter his wheels back, but they still kept him as the school classroom so that they could actually pull him around and take him, well, just about anywhere where there are tracks. Not necessarily anywhere, just anywhere where there are tracks. And I'm saying that because in one of Dexter's fantasies, he imagined different types of wheels that he could have, such as monster truck wheels and caterpillar tracks. That was quite interesting. And something that many fans will know about Dexter is that he happens to be voiced by Mark Mogahan, who was the narrator of Thomas and Friends from the 17th to the 21st season. They decided to take him off as the narrator because they decided to have Thomas doing the story narrations, doing it from a first-person perspective. So before doing that, Mark Mogahan was officially the final narrator in the show, the final narrator to narrate the stories from a third-person perspective. He did have a pretty good long run, though I was expecting him to be kind of like, well, kind of be on the show for a very long time. Like maybe for as long as Michael Angelis and Michael Brandon had, but no, he only lasted 5 seasons, which was quite a surprise. And, you know, Dexter is his first role voicing a character in the CGI series, and he also happened to be the second narrator to voice a character in the CGI series, the first being Michael Brandon, but he also happens to be the first to do so in the UK dub, since Michael Brandon only voiced Diesel and Mr. Bubbles in the US dub. So that was pretty cool that they actually gave Mark Mogahan a role in the TV series. I'm not sure if he's going to be voicing any more characters. That would be pretty cool, or maybe if Dexter will even make future episode appearances. But none have been announced or even aired at the time of the recording of this video, so we don't know if that's going to happen, or if you're watching this video in the future where it's already happened, you would know if it had. Now, just like with AJ the Mallard, I did use some paper printed to go on the side, and you know, I used MS Paint to do the little the little decal on the side. Although I am now noticing the track is just a little above, and you know, because I did not go down far enough when putting the paper on there. I really should have thought of that a bit more, but oh well. Nobody's perfect when it comes to doing these customs anyway. And there was actually quite a lot of things that ended up not going onto the, you know, the model right here. I just had to try to get as much into the, onto the side as possible with the painting that is added onto Dexter's side. You know, such as the image of Duck and Dexter himself and Thomas on both sides. Although if you watch the, you know, the Kuno the Tank Engine episode where Dexter does make an appearance, I actually did a bit of a different image, which showed off Stepney and the Marklin engine and Elizabeth and Hector. And that actually is a reference to something, but I'm not going to be mentioning it in this video right here. But for the custom model of Dexter right here, I have added on what is actually shown on Dexter, in the TV series episode. And I am going to point out that I did originally have a sun in the printing, but it was cut off when I put it onto the model. So I ended up having to paint it back on with a paintbrush and some yellow paint. I used Sharpie's markers for the roof and also the side, even though the side is covered up now, but I used a blue Sharpie's marker to color on the side before putting the decal on. Probably not all that necessary, but you can also see the same thing underneath, although there are a bit of wood exposures right above the wheels because I was not able to get the marker to go under here because there was not enough room for me to get there. And the front and back are painted with a paintbrush. Not really the best job, but it's the best that I can do. And then lastly, the face. It's the same face as what you get on the Thomas & Friends wood Bulstrode, which doesn't look like Bulstrode at all and can easily be pulled off as being a different character. And in this case, I used it for Dexter. I will admit the face is actually kind of big compared to Dexter's face in the show. It probably would have worked better to have used a much smaller face. But this face actually looked like it could work, so I went ahead and used it. So anyway, that is my video overview on my custom wooden railway AJ, Stanley the Mid-Sodor Engine, and Dexter. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Oh, and if you are wondering if I will still do the School of Duck video and how I'm going to work around the fact that I've already glued the face onto my Dexter model, I'm thinking that I could actually do some image editing to get this face onto one of the red coaches. It won't actually go onto the red coaches in real life, just in editing. So, anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you again next time.